Hi, and welcome to episode number 13 of the Fit for Any Battle podcast. This time, Fit for Any Battle is battling prostate cancer, and I just came from chemotherapy number 5 out of 6. In fact, I still have this darn thing on my arm. I'll figure out how to get this thing off. Boy, that was easy. The 5th out of 6 means I think I'm like 83% of the way done or something amazing like that. Some high average. I have one more chemotherapy treatment and then I'm done. Then after about 4 weeks, I can start my 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 2 months. I'll be having radiation therapy. So they will be microwaving or doing whatever they need to do down there. Thankfully, it's not head and neck, so I won't have any issues with burns on my face or on my throat or in my mouth. I've had friends that have had radiation therapy around their head and neck, and our teeth are pretty interesting in the fact that they reflect a lot of that, and it'll actually reflect back into the warm, moist mucous membranes of our mouth, and it'll burn it. So let's talk about what I just went through. This morning, I took my head chiller, my mitts, and my shoes that have cooling inserts that fit inside of them that freeze my hands and chill my feet just before chemotherapy treatment. 30 minutes before they give me the medication, I put on the hat, I turn on the circulation pump, and it's cooling my head, which, by the way, never feels good. But I do know that it is helping. I still have hair. And in fact, about a week and a half ago, my wife mentioned to me, the hair on your head is growing back. And then I realized, so is the leg hair. It's not supposed to grow back so quickly, but something I'm doing is working because I didn't lose my arm hair. I didn't lose all of the hair on my head. I didn't lose my eyebrows and my eyelashes. I did lose my leg hair, but now it's coming back, and so is the hair on my head that I lost. Hopefully my beard comes back too, because it's looking pretty shabby these days. So 30 minutes before I put all the cooling stuff on, they give a anti-inflammatory and a steroid to me, and then after 30 minutes, they start the treatment. Now, the treatment itself, you wouldn't notice anything. In fact, when I'm laying there and it starts, I don't notice a difference between it, the saline, the steroid, the anti-inflammatory. Nothing feels like anything, and there's no side effect when I'm getting it. I believe that's because my body is healthy. And every time I go in there, I am told that I'm doing really well because my health and my positive attitude, those two things come together in a perfect symphony. And what it means is I really don't have many side effects. Let's talk about the side effects that I have had. Recently, and it's gone down a little bit, my eyelids twitch a little bit. That's a sign of temporary neuropathy around the eye. The other thing that I found out the other day is ever since I started chemotherapy, I've actually lost my sense of smell and most of my sense of taste, and it's gotten progressively worse. So now when I cook the family dinner, tasting it along the way doesn't actually mean that it's going to taste good at the end. So I have to do all of this stuff by sight, and I'm having to season very lightly and then ask the kids, hey, does this taste too salty? Hey, to my wife, does this taste too salty? It's a really, really crazy thing. Let's move on to a message from our sponsor, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about the rest of the treatments.
The sponsor for today's Fit for Any Battle podcast is Feelalytics. With Feelalytics, I can generate different versions of video content, have a select group of people review it, and give me real-time feedback on which parts of it work and which don't to determine which content to publish for my podcast. With Feelalytics, it saves me tons of time on production and other costs because I know which content works for which people. So, go today to feelalytics.com and check it out.
Thanks to Feelalytics for sponsoring today's podcast. I can't thank Feelalytics and Update Everyone enough. The opportunity to share this message with you is critically important. And you can do your part. You can share the link to this. You can hit the subscribe button. There's all sorts of things that you can do to share the podcast. My goal is to leave that indelible mark for others who are going through the same thing I am, so they're not going through it alone. We're going through it together. They can watch the podcast all at once. They can go episode by episode, week by week, to stay 1 week ahead of what they should be expecting. So I appreciate your support. Just before the break, we were talking about how the medication doesn't feel like anything. It goes in, it's not a big deal. I then come out of the center because they've taken off my IV. I've got everything back into my bags that I bring. And by the way, I'm the only person that brings stuff to chemo. Everyone else just walks in, maybe with some headphones and a phone. They're not chilling their feet. They're not chilling their hands. They're not chilling their head. And I fear for them because neuropathy, especially chemo-induced neuropathy, oftentimes doesn't go away. The other thing that's really interesting is my skin has changed a little bit. It almost feels a little older right now. And I think that's just those minor skin changes are something that we should expect with the chemotherapy. The other thing is, if you'll notice, my hair, even though it is staying together and all in one thing, is super thin. My ponytail went from a very large ponytail to a tiny, tiny ponytail. That's been interesting to watch. I noticed that the hair on my beard is not growing, but it's not falling out. It's kind of like in this weird zone where it's just not doing anything, which makes it really easy because I don't have to shave and I don't have to trim my beard very often. The neuropathy around the eyes is kind of annoying. However, it's been coming and going. And since I just had a chemotherapy treatment, in 3 hours, I'm going to be on a bike. And I'm going to be biking for 4 hours tonight. I'm going to bike about 30 miles tonight. And that allows me to flush a ton of water through my system. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Then I'm going to come home. I'm going to get some rest. And the next day, tomorrow, which is going to be a Thursday, that's another ride night. So tomorrow night, I'm also going to ride about 25 miles. And those first 2 days, getting so much energy out, burning so much sweat through my body, really sets me up well. The other thing that I've noticed is the Neulasta shots that they put on me. I've got one on right now. In 30 hours, it's going to be done, and I'll be able to take it off. And I haven't had any of the Neulasta bone pain since that first time. Now, if you ask your oncologist, they're going to say Neulasta bone pain means that it's working. What a horrible way to figure out that something is working. But the good news is we know that it's working in my body because I got that first big boost. The other thing that I talked about is I have become a light bit anemic. So they have me on a slow-release iron, and it has come back up a bit. It's come back up to my baseline, which is great. But they still think I'm a little low, so they're going to be having me up the dose. So I'll be taking 2 slow-release 45 milligram iron tablets every morning. Now, I've also talked about the fact that I'm taking 2 magnesium. I'm taking 1 vitamin A, D, and K every day. I'm taking 2,000 milligrams of L-glutamine. This is going to protect the sheathing on the ends of my nerves so that they don't form neuropathy permanently, because the chemotherapy can definitely affect that. I'm also taking magnesium threonate, 2 in the morning, 1 in the evening. I'm taking 4 creatine. Oh wow, that label doesn't do really well with the green screen. So let's do this. I take 4 creatine. These creatine tablets, 2 of them give you 2.5. So I'm taking 5 grams of creatine a day. I'm also taking 2 calcium magnesium butyrate. This is the stinkiest pill on the market you can find. And then, because chemo strips away a lot of the strength out of our bones, I've been asked to take 2 Citracal a day. Each one of these 2 tablets is giving me a lot. Oh my goodness, a lot. 1,000 IU of vitamin D. Like, it's going to be a really great thing for the bones. And then, of course, as I mentioned, I'm taking the slow release iron. So all of those put together, along with athletic greens and tons of water, are going to get me through the first few days of post-chemotherapy, which are going to feel a little yucky. However, that yuck has stayed really light. And the reason why is because I'm going to the gym 5 days a week and I'm biking the other 2. So I would encourage you to get out, get some exercise. One of the other things that I've done is when I wake up in the morning, I've tried a couple new things just to see how they go. I jump on my stationary bike and I bike as fast as I can for just a couple minutes. That really kicks off my system. And then I've been jumping in the cold plunge in the morning and also cooling this part of my face, right around, I get my eyes, my nose, my mouth, and my chin in the water. And that really helps give me that burst of energy and that excitement. Thanks to Andrew Huberman for suggesting that, because it takes about 4 hours to wear off. And in that 4 hours, you don't need coffee. You don't need anything to eat. You're just firing on all cylinders. So anyway, I'll make another recording next week. Then there's a following week. And then I believe is my last appointment at Texas Oncology for chemotherapy treatments. This flew by. The idea is put your head down, know you're going to get through it, have that destination in mind, and push through it. And we can do it together. Go to fitforanybbattle.com to get more information on the workout that I use. And you can download the mobile app to manage your workouts at the gym too. It's free. I will see you soon. Thanks.